Cinderella Videos Part 2. So there's the picture. When she arrived, the servants told the prince that an unknown princess had just appeared, and he hurried to welcome her. He helped her out of the carriage and led her into the ballroom. At once there was complete silence. The dancers stopped dancing and the musicians stopped playing. Everyone was spellbound by the loveliness of the unknown lady. A murmur ran round the room. "How beautiful she is!" Even the king, elderly as he was, couldn't stop looking at her, and he said to the queen that it was years since he had seen anyone so beautiful and charming. All the ladies looked carefully at her clothes, making up their minds to have a dress in the same style, if they could find such exquisite materials and such clever dressmakers. So there she is, being Cinderella, and there's the prince. Okay, here's the picture of what's coming. The prince led her to the place of honor and then asked for the next dance. She danced so gracefully that the company admired her more than ever. A splendid supper was served, but the prince ate nothing. He could only gaze at her. She sat beside her sisters and showed them every attention. She even shared with them the oranges and lemons that the prince had given her, which surprised them greatly, for they didn't recognize her. After supper, the prince went to her again and paid her endless compliments. She was enjoying herself so much that she quite forgot what her godmother had said until the first stroke of midnight sounded. Then she sprang up and fled as lightly as a deer. The prince followed her, but he couldn't catch up with her. However, she lost one of her glass slippers and he picked it up very carefully. Cinderella arrived home out of breath, without a coach, without footmen, in her old clothes. Nothing remained of her splendor but one of her little slippers, the twin of the one she had lost. So there's her transforming back. The palace guards were asked if they had seen the princess leave, but they said they had seen no one except a ragged girl who looked more like a peasant than a great lady. When the two sisters came home, Cinderella asked if they had enjoyed themselves, and they told her all about the beautiful lady. "She was so polite to us," they said. "She gave us oranges and lemons." Then they described how the lady had run away at midnight, so fast that she dropped one of her pretty little glass slippers, and how the prince had picked it up and done nothing but look at it for the rest of the ball. They thought he must be madly in love with the beautiful lady it belonged to. They were right, for a few days later, the prince had it proclaimed, to the sound of a trumpet, that he would marry the lady whose foot the slipper fitted. The princesses tried it on first, then the duchesses, and then all the court ladies, but in vain. At length it was brought to the house of the sisters, and they tried hard to force their feet into it, but without success. Cinderella was watching them, and she recognized her slipper. "Let me try," she said. Her sisters laughed scornfully. But the gentleman who had brought the slipper looked at her closely and saw that she was very beautiful. So he said that she was quite right. His orders were to offer the slipper to every girl. He made Cinderella sit down, and when he held out the slipper, it fitted her little foot exactly. There's the picture again. You can see the stepsisters and the stepmom lamenting, being sad that it fits just perfectly. The sisters were amazed, but they were more astonished still when Cinderella took out the other little slipper from her pocket and put it on. Her godmother appeared and tapped her with her wand, and at once she was even more magnificently dressed than when she went to the ball. Then the two sisters recognized her as the beautiful unknown lady. They knelt before her and asked her forgiveness for treating her so badly. Cinderella kissed them and forgave them with all her heart, and begged them always to love her. Then she was escorted to the prince in her grand new clothes. He found her lovelier than ever, and a few days later they were married. Cinderella, who was as good as she was beautiful, took her sisters to live at the palace and married them on the same day to two great noblemen. There's the picture. The end.